Hey guys, and welcome back to the What's the Craic podcast. Today's guest, Angus.
Hello.
Angus and me are doing our first ever shows together.
Yep.
We'd met once to do a writing session,
Yep.
and he was free to do Australia because it's gig time in the UK. And Angus was like, hell yeah. You only take on projects at the minute live that you're interested in, right?
Yeah, exactly. I spend most of my time writing and producing, but that means that my calendar for long, random live trips is pretty clear. So we had to move a few shows around and dep a few things out. Josh Hawkins, if you're watching this, thanks for covering for me.
Thank you.
Or listening to this. But yeah, here we are.
Yeah.
Down under in Australia.
We did one live private gig for patrons only in London before we came out.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time we'd ever played live together. We had 2 rehearsals plus that. And yeah, we have a 40-minute set to do here in Australia. So it's pretty chill.
It's good. It's just
really
the two of
nice.
us.
I know.
Not stressing about drummers and bass players. And
Soundcheck is so
whatever.
easi.
Super simple.
Although Angus is one of those people there, he plays the guitar mainly and then he just hops on the keys because obviously you can just be a multi-instrumentalist. God damn it. I'm just like, I sing. Yay. Also, you've been flat out writing since we've been here. We wrote a song together as well.
We did.
Which we sent to manager Rick. And I was like, I don't know. Anytime I record songs like this, he's normally like, meh. But we sent it and he was over the moon.
Can we say the name?
Yeah.
Cigarette Sweets.
Hell
Keep
yeah.
your ears peeled.
Bit of nostalgia, lads. And he got the nostalgia. He doesn't normally listen to lyrics.
Uh-huh.
And straight away he got it. So I was like, oh, that's a good sign.
It's a good
It's a great sign. We need to practice that today because we're going to try and
yeah,
play
we're going
it.
to try and gig it tomorrow.
Hell yeah.
So give it a try.
So this is absolutely and utterly bonkers. We're currently on tour with Russell Crowe, bro. Russell Crowe, what the dude, we grew up watching Russell's movies when I was a kid. Like, I watched Gladiator when I was yay big, and I went to see it in the summer of last year, and I remembered every scene, and I seen it when I was a kid.
It's one of, if not the best film ever made.
It was always on my top 10 favorite movies.
It's great.
Even before any of this happened. And then my best friend Megan, shout out Megan, is obsessed with The Beautiful Mind. It's like in her top 3 favorite movies of all time. So she was like, what?
A lot of people have one of Russell's films in their top
At least. Nice
if
Guys.
Not 2 or 3.
Nice Guys.
Nice Guys is great.
It's
I love
in my
Nice
top
Guys.
5 of favorite movies.
I watched that just before we came out, actually. It was one of those films that I've never seen, and everyone's like, oh, you have to see it. And I was like, right, we're going out. I'm going to watch it before I get here.
Yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's so good. Like, I'm not even just saying that. Like, I watched it before any of this happened as well. And it's just insanely good. And it's probably like the closest to his personality.
Mm-hmm.
He's nicer in real life, but like joke-wise.
Yeah, it's a pretty accurate representation of what he's like.
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously, it's a character still, but it's like, of all the characters, at least of the films that I've seen of him, it's the closest.
Yeah.
Although, admittedly, I haven't seen as many as a proper film nerd would.
Yeah,
I'm not the
I
biggest
want them to
movie
make
person,
a
so-
sequel.
Oh, Nice Guys 2 would be great.
He's got a
We
great
could be in
name
it.
for it. He was like, oh my God, imagine. It was like Nice Guys Mexican Detectives or something is what they want to make it next. I was like, oh, in my head it was always like 2 nice guys, like TOO nice guys, 2 nice guys. But, you know, I'll pitch it to him. See what he says. But yeah, no, it's been unbelievable. I thought I would get more like episodes of the podcast done, but we've been flat out in the best way possible.
Yeah, we've had like no downtime. Well, there's been downtime, but
You
the
got
downtime
sick in the
days-
downtime.
I did get sick in the downtime, which sucks. My body was like, oh yeah, we've got a couple of days off. Bam! Game
you know
over.
Angus is sick whenever he's not eating.
Yeah, there was one meal where I had like 2, it was a Chinese meal, and Jodie, the chef here, cooked it. And
A
she's
succulent
a hero.
Chinese meal.
It was a proper succulent Chinese meal. And I could only eat like 3 little fried pieces of chicken, which is very unlike me. Everyone was very worried that I was going to die, but fortunately by the morning, appetite was back. We're
Literally
back to full
first
health, so-
gig, first dinner we did together as a team. Angus walked away with a box of all the leftovers.
Yeah, I didn't even
You didn't
pick
even
it
do it.
up. My reputation of eating preceded me, and Keith, our bus driver, was like, "Oh, you look like the kind of guy that's just going to eat everything." So
Here you go.
here's the rest of the rigatoni or whatever it was. I
Yeah.
can't remember.
That was an insane meal because it was like we get there's amazing starters, and then we have 3 different types of pizzas coming out individually, and I was like, oh, it was amazing, and then it was like 3 different types of pastas just came.
Yeah, we were thinking it was just a pizza meal, like a pizza party kind of vibe, you know?
what I
And
thought.
we were so wrong. We were all full on pizza, and then he was like, "Oh, there's 2 more courses to go."
I was like,
I was in my element. I was loving life.
As soon as the pasta came out, I was like walking to the shop to get the sparkling water. I was like, nah, I'm good. I ate so much pizza. I'm just gonna go get my fix.
Get the bubbles in.
Dude, I'm like an addict, because I am, but with sparkling water now. It's actually kind of...
It's terrifying, to be honest.
I know.
This whole trip, you've just been constantly drinking sparkling water.
I mean, I've been drinking regular water as well. But it's not as fun. There's a fun option of something, and I love it, and I will drink it. And if I'm going to be addicted to something,
sparkling water's pretty good.
Sparkling water is fine.
Keeps you hydrated. Got a bit of zing.
Yeah, I will take that.
Good stuff.
So, for you, what has been the most bizarre, or like one of those moments you get only in this job where you're like, how did I get here?
The most... Well, there's been a few on this tour,
There's been
as
a lot.
I'm sure you can probably picture at home.
Yeah.
But the most bizarre one for me was Russell invited one of his friends over. The friend calls him Big Bro, so they're on that kind of level. And said friend happens to be RZA from Wu-Tang Clan, who are like one of, if not my favourite band ever, like the most iconic hip-hop guys of all time.
You love them.
And it was so casual. It was just like, oh yeah, RZA's coming for dinner. Yeah, RZA!
Yeah.
RZA's coming for dinner. So that was mad in and of itself, and we had a really good chat over dinner, and then he stayed on the farm for a couple of days.
We thought we weren't really going to see him because he
Yeah.
came for dinner, and it was obviously like, you know, we sat over at the like kiddie table because we're like, yeah, we'll let all the people that actually have met him before catch up and chat.
Have a proper chat with
Have
him.
a proper chat. And then I thought that would be the end of it.
Mhm.
And then we went for breakfast, and he was just chilling at the breakfast table.
Sat and spoke to him for like a couple of hours, and then at that point, again, we thought, oh, this is it. Like, surely that's the, like, you
That's the story.
You can't top that. That's like the most iconic moment ever. And then cut to about 4 days later, we're playing a show in Sydney at the Bridge Hotel. And Russell's like, oh, RZA's going to come and do a feature rap on one of our songs. So he came and freestyled a couple of verses on one of their songs, and it was so cool. And hung out with him the whole evening in the green room, had a little party with him in the evening. We'll cut all of the details of all of those things out because it's not probably suitable for Spotify and YouTube and that.
Yeah, we're not going to say
too
too much.
It was a crazy experience, and he's an icon for me. And that was dope. So that would probably be my current pick. But we've still got quite a few things to go.
There's still
already.
quite a few to go.
There's still a few, so maybe it'll get topped. But yeah, how about you, Janet?
He was just so humble. He was so humble, so nice. Like, I was asking questions
hat
because
off. It's killing
yeah, I was asking questions. Like, I don't know too much about him. Obviously, I'm familiar with Wu-Tang Clan and their music. But that's about the height of it. Like, I'm very bad for like getting to know artists and things. So I was asking questions that, you know, I perceived as maybe a bit stupid, but they led to some bloody interesting answers.
Right.
Oh, dude. What a guy. We got some great advice from him, and he was just, everything he said was just like another pearl of wisdom. And I'm like, hey, we should film this. You're like giving a free TED talk.
Yeah, it really felt like that, honestly.
And you're
But he's
inspired
coming
enough to
from
get a tattoo as well.
I am. RZA's contributing a little piece to my tour tattoo. I have literally been chatting today, actually, with the artist who's going to do it. She's in Sydney. Vanzo Tattoo, big up. And it's going to be like a little strip. I don't know if it will be done by the time this comes out or not. If it is, maybe cut in a photo.
I'll try to.
But it'll be like a little strip with a bunch of things that have happened and moments that are cool from the
Like a
tour
little
cut in.
patchwork
So we've
quilt,
got
but
yeah,
clear.
exactly. We've got some things from some of the other shows, some stuff that's happened, some maybe
Crazy.
locations from other places, some flowers for the indoor garden party thing. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on there, but I haven't seen the design yet. She's working on it.
I'm
so
saying he needs to do a blindfolded tattoo.
just trust the artist. Which,
Like, to get the placement, just do the outline of the box, agree
Yeah.
to that, and then don't look at it.
and then just do what you want in the gap. So that might be a thing.
That would be
Keep your eyes
cool.
peeled.
Hell yeah. For me, what was it been?
Hold that thought. I'm just going to check that we've got good peaking levels and stuff, and nothing's clipping. Yeah, we're good. Right, to go. Ignore me.
For me, I think the biggest, best thing, all of it's been amazing. Like, it's the bar is so high. It's in heaven. Like, I don't know what would be, but I think probably the freshest one is probably the closest, and that's why I'm wearing my Australia Zoo zookeeper uniform along with my little little bear, which I got from my nieces, but I've robbed for this video. So we knew we were playing Australia Zoo,
which is in and of itself bonkers already.
Bizarre.
Looking through the list of venues, Sydney Opera House was one of those where I looked at it and I was like,
wow,
that's like a
bucket list
proper
thing.
bucket list venue. But then Australia Zoo was on there, and we were like, what's that going to be?
Literally,
what's going to be the vibe?
Because Australia Zoo, if you're unfamiliar, is Steve Irwin's zoo.
It's the zoo.
It's the zoo, bro. And I didn't have my expectations too high or anything along those lines. Like, I didn't anticipate half of the things that happened. So where do I even start? So the night before, we were playing a gig and then driving to the zoo, and Russell asked me in the dressing room. He was like, "Oh, is there anything on your bucket list for Australia Zoo?" And someone had mentioned that there was koala bears. Okay, and I was like, "Oh my god." To hold a koala bear, I would literally pee my pants. Like, I shouldn't have said that, but you know when I got so excited that my words fell out of my mouth hole, and I was like, oh bugger, I just said that out loud. Anyway, he's like, that can be arranged, and I was like, no. I was like, I'm not getting my hopes up. I will not anticipate holding them at all. So then we get to the venue. I slept in, which was awesome. Loved it. I woke up like 20 minutes before I needed to leave the hotel room because I took my meds so late, because we got in so late. And I called my mum, and then I took my meds because I was like, oh, I haven't taken them. And they stay in my system for quite a long time, and they're quite sedative. So unbeknownst to me, I'd been hitting the snooze button.
She was out cold. It was out within about 3 minutes of me being like, Janet, wake up, we gotta go soon. But she just about made it. So
just about. And I had an emergency shower and then just wung everything in a suitcase. Luckily, I'd planned my outfit.
Good.
Which was
Good move.
My little safari suit that I had to bring, and Terry and everyone loved it. They were bigging it up, so I was like, okay, I made a good choice. They weren't offended that I looked like a zookeeper, which was nice.
No, it was the vibes.
It was
a good outfit choice.
Yeah. So that and the Crocs, bro. My like big platform, like what would you call it? Like almost
camo woodland
kind of
camo croc
woodland camo
things.
croc thing. I love them. Anyway, so we get there and I was in the shower, and I can't even explain to you. My brain was like, I hope this isn't a sign of the rest of the day, because this day was supposed to be so amazing. I was literally almost crying in the shower. Mood. And finally got there. We did our sound check, and we're stood there because we're waiting. We were like, okay, wait until we get the go ahead and then we'll go explore the zoo. But before that, Russell was like, Janet, come over here. And I was like, okay. I always panic whenever somebody calls my name. I'm like, what have I done? What did I do? You know, get over there. And
also, when Russell calls your name, there's like because of his voice, there's like
it's so booming.
It's a little bit like that feeling when your dad yells at you as a kid, but it's not that he's yelling. It's just the way that he says everything has so much presence that it's like either the best thing or the worst thing at the same time. It's it's like a proper Schrodinger's.
Yeah,
I'm
my
in
childhood
trouble.
trauma kind of comes out.
Yeah.
Like, it's not him. It's just
Janet.
like the boom is like, oh, I'm in trouble. So I go over and he's like, I have someone to meet you. And I turn around and it's bloody Terry Irwin, Steve Irwin's wife. And I was like, blah, 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 what? Anyway, got talking to her. Amazing woman. Obviously,
incredible woman.
Just
so cool.
Insane what she's doing. Like, what they do in general is just unbelievable. Like, fair play to them. Got talking to her, and then got talking to Rob Irwin, who's he's a celebrity in and of himself now.
He is a don as well. He is so nice and so thoughtful and warm and emotionally articulate and smart and just cool. And he's only 19.
19. I swear to God, you meet him and you'd think in his demeanor that he's 30.
Yeah. But not in like a boring old man-y style, like, oh, he's a 30-year-old man in a 19-year-old body.
No, he's a golden retriever.
He's just got this like real warmth about him. He's a legend. Yeah.
They are just indescribable with how kind, sweet, and like we thought, oh, it's going to be hello, goodbye. No, like we chatted to them for a good 10-15 minutes.
Maybe even longer than that, to be honest. Like, just, yeah.
I couldn't believe it. They were so polite. They just kept the conversation going. I was like, oh my God.
And they were all interested in us.
Yeah, dude, that was whenever they were thanking us for coming there.
Thank you guys so much for coming down. We were like, no, don't thank us.
Don't thank us.
Thank you.
We got a free ticket to the zoo. So they were lovely to chat to. And then before we went exploring, I was just like, do you know what? I'm going to just take the moment and ask for a photo for my childhood, just to like fulfill that part. And they were so gracious about it. Like, they weren't weird about it. And then I obviously had to say to them, I was like, I did laugh when you guys introduced yourselves, because like, I know who you guys are. You are amazing and you're inspiration. So then we went off for a dander. We couldn't go too far because the show was literally starting in like a half hour.
Yeah, it was one of those weird things where you have time before a sound check, but not enough time to do anything important. But if you were sat around bumming around, it would feel like ages. So it's like that kind of, we'll spend like 10 minutes walking to this place, then we'll quickly spend 10 minutes there and 10 minutes back kind of thing.
Yeah.
Proper little scurry around the zoo.
So we didn't know what to expect on the side of the zoo we were on. We're like, we just have to go to the closest enclosure thing and see what happens. Bro walked into kangaroo heaven.
Literally
called kangaroo heaven.
Yeah.
And I seen them kind of chilling, and then I realized you could go up to them and feed them. And then I was like, I seen someone touching it, and I was like, I can touch the kangaroo.
We spent 5 minutes before this, by the way. I was trying to creep up to one of them and just be like, try and get as close as possible for a photo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if this is really like okay, and is he going to square up like a big old kangaroo and get all angry at it? And then as we were walking around, there were people taking pictures with them with their arms over them and stuff, so we had to do
it led to like an epic selfie that I have with a kangaroo.
It's probably the best selfie of all time, to be honest, because he looks like so human in that, or she, I don't know.
Because it's looking at the camera, and it's like,
it's a proper like, hello.
So I couldn't believe it. So we spent quite a bit of time there just feeding kangaroos and petting them.
Yeah, they were dope.
And then we seen some birds, some wetland birds, which is pretty cool. Big old cockatoo. And then we were like, all right, cool. Like, we better head. We need to get back to the stage. And we did. And we did a set. And I was like, it's so hard with like daytime audiences, especially when there's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
So my first song initially always has like a bit of audience interaction, so I can gauge what the audience are like and how much I need to work to get them involved. Straight away, asked them to click.
And they were locked in. Also, what you haven't mentioned, sorry to cut you off, is the fact that this is in the Crocaseum. Which, if you haven't ever seen it, Google it, look it up. It's unreal. They've
it's
basically
a mini
built
arena.
A mini arena. And what's crazy about the whole thing, it was a real wholesome, like, full circle moment is, and none of us really realised this, that they built the Crocaseum because Steve Irwin and Russell were really, really good friends.
And he loved Gladiator.
He was like a #1 Gladiator fan.
Yeah.
And so when they were building Australia Zoo, Steve was like, it's a bit of a stretch, but I want to like recreate the Gladiator vibe and build a coliseum where people can like feed crocs, basically.
Yeah, where they can watch him interacting with the crocodiles.
So the whole thing was kind of inspired by Russell. And so then to have this full circle moment where Russell came back to the zoo and then played there, and it was there were so many things that were so emotional and like wholesome. It was good. So yeah, that's where that show was. It wasn't just like a little like pub in the park kind of little set up stage in a corner.
I didn't even Google the Crocaseum before we went. So when I turned up and seen it, I was like, what?
It looks like a mini football pitch, but instead of having a football pitch in the middle, it's got like a
big water pond thing, for the crocs.
A little feeding stand where they flick dead stuff at these crocodiles.
Yeah. So we did our show, and it was awesome. It was really, really good fun. I loved the vibes from the audience. And then I go off stage, and Russell comes on, so I intro them, which was surreal in and of itself, being like, are you ready for Russell Crowe? And they're going nuts. And I'm like,
are you not entertained?
I know, I've done that once or twice.
Literally in a coliseum, literally with Gladiator.
Insane. And they came on and they played their set. And then I wasn't expecting them to keep Valerie in the set because they had to cut it all down. We all did minute sets. So we did 3 songs. I think they did 8. But they kept Valerie in, which
is
was
like a group. A group sort of cover that everyone knows, everyone loves it kind of vibe.
Yes. The only people that hate Valerie as a song are musicians who've
wedding
had to
singers.
play every wedding.
Wedding singers. And I'm sorry if you're a wedding singer and you hate Valerie, but it is a banger.
Yeah.
Great song.
Literally. Manager Rick will be like, oh, Valerie. And I'm going to be like, bro, Saws, you're traumatized.
But Russell does the original version of it, not the Amy Winehouse one. It's like the one with the cool...
Zootons? Is that the Zootons?
Something like, I can't remember what their
something
name is.
Like that.
The zoo something.
Yeah.
The zoo.
Zoo. So that was a moment in and of itself whenever that was announced that just over in the pub one night, he was like, it was David Kelly, drummer, was like, I feel like Janet, you should get up and join us for a song. And I was like,
I think actually I said that. I didn't suggest what it was for. I was like, why don't you all do a sing song? And then it kind of developed into then Dave being like, yeah, Valerie, and then Russell was like, yeah.
Oh no, it was Russell that said Valerie, which I thought was so funny because like one night I'd walked past his house and he was singing it
Yes, yeah, we've been
Yeah.
joking about the fact that Russell only listens to Valerie for this whole trip because every time you walk past where his like
We have
bedroom / shower window is on the farm,
It's
he's
Valerie.
always singing Valerie, man.
Yeah, which is vibes. So he was like, he put it on in the pub while
Yeah.
listening and trying to like imagine it.
And a bunch of us got mind blown that it is the original. I think a lot of people thought
Oh, really?
it's the Amy Winehouse
Oh.
one. I know that definitely me and Stewie Cohen were like, oh,
Did you not
the
know
Amy
that?
one's a cover. I had no idea. I
Oh,
never
wow.
knew this piece of trivia until that one conversation. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I was like one of 5 or 6. And also, like, the majority of this touring party are like seasoned veteran musicians as well. Me not
Pros.
knowing that, having never been there for the original, is probably still inexcusable. I should have known.
But like, why would you?
But some of the boys, they're like, you know, in their 50s. They've been playing shows for like 35, 40 years.
Yeah.
And they were like, what?
Yeah.
Amy's a cover? Oh my God.
Which is a good sign. She owned it.
She did.
She
It's a
killed
great,
it.
It's a great version.
Yeah, so we do the original version a bit more than the Amy version.
Rock and roll, like.
Rock and roll. And then I thought, like, oh, it's never going to come to fruition because nobody has time to learn or practice or anything like that. It's like, it's a pipe dream. Everyone's had 1 or 2 drinks. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And I turn up to sound check the next day and Russell's like, Janet. And I'm like,
We're duetting Valerie, and Janet was like, okay.
okay. And it's nice as well, though, because I get, like, the 3rd verse, which is all stripped down.
And it's the first verse.
It's
so
the first verse
everyone
again.
knows it as well. There's no pressure on remembering the lyrics.
Sometimes I go out. That bit. And it's all stripped down and just the keys and the drums. And then
And the
Russell.
BB's going,
Yeah.
it's vibes.
And then everybody, Russell sings with me in the pre-chorus, and then everybody's in on the chorus, and I just get to vibe on stage with everyone, which is so magical because we've been traveling with these people, we've been eating with these people, we've
been living with them for
living
like,
with
at this
them.
point, 5 weeks?
5 weeks. And to actually finally get up on stage and be a part of what they've got going on is like, what? It's just so unreal. So then getting to come on stage, I noticed at the Crocosium, I looked at everyone on the stage and I was like, everyone's wearing glasses, everyone's wearing sunglasses.
Everyone was wearing sunnies.
And I was like, well, I'm not going to be the only one. And I just like put my big shades on and hopped on out, and yeah, I got to sing Valerie for the opening show for the Crocodiles, which we need to talk about as well. Like
The Crocodile
oh,
Show.
we
Damn.
will croc you.
Rock and roll, baby.
They come out, which we didn't know was a rare thing, that all 3 of the Irwins
Were
and
there
Bindy's
together.
partner as well, like they all came out and they put on the show.
So they're
for
all
the
doing their
Crocs.
own individual things a lot of the time, and
Mm-hmm.
they're traveling and shooting TV stuff and whatever. So they're massively involved with the zoo, but it's not very common that you get 1 or 2 of them even.
Yeah,
So having all 3,
was insane.
oh, and they come out and it's like a Robot Wars style, big steamy smoke
Yeah.
explosion. Then they come out to some epic intro music, and the whole Crocosium's like, "Rah!" And for the record, by the way, this Crocosium, it's not like a little attraction thing. I think when it's full, it seats, was it 8,000 they
8,000.
were saying? And this was like a Saturday afternoon, and it was maybe at that point 5,500.
5,500, yeah.
Maybe it wasn't full, but it was a lot of
It was
people. So
still
when
a
you get like
proper
a
gig.
roar of people and them coming out in the smoke thing, felt like a boxing match kind of at
Yes,
the beginning. You know,
I
it
get
had,
you
it
with
had
that.
a really cool like intro,
It was
vibe.
so epic.
and all 3 of them come out, and it's like, oh my God, this is so iconic.
And then we got to watch them like interact with the Crocs, and Rob, oh my God, he was like swimming in the water with the crocodile, obviously trying to lure it out.
The hungry crocodile as
A hungry
well.
crocodile. Like, so basically they don't want to take it away from its natural instincts, so it's very important for them that they don't make it docile.
Yeah.
So it's not a docile crocodile.
Yeah,
It is
it's not. It's tame in a way, I guess, because he kind of knows the score. But he's not like tame. He will snap.
Yeah, no. He's hungry.
Pretty intense.
So basically, what they're doing is like they're feeding him when he's out there, and while they're doing it, it's not just like a crocodile show. They're really channeling what Steve was about, and that was the education
Yeah.
and the safety as to like how to be safe around waters that have crocodiles.
Yeah, it was
and-
really cleverly done. It was
Yes.
interesting. It was on edge, but it was also informative. It actually really felt like watching the old, Crocodile
Steve,
Hunter
I know.
videos. There's a lot of Steve in Robert, and at the
So
end,
much.
he was like, "Oh, we're all doing this, and I'm just like following in the footsteps of the greatest wildlife conservationist of all time, my dad." sad, and all of us were like, oh, it's so sad, but so like happy at the same time.
I know.
Oh,
Like couldn't be
emotional
doing.
rollercoaster.
They couldn't keep his legacy alive any further than what they're doing.
No, it's amazing, and you feel it in the walls. Like you walk into that place, and it's got this real like.
You feel it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Because
it's really,
whenever
really
we
great.
were talking to Terry and Rob, it came up, naturally, but it can be a very hard topic to talk about. And we said,
I didn't really want to ask anything
Yeah.
about it. Because I was like, it's just.
But someone had
that.
said something about, losing Steve, or like it must be like empty without him. And they were like, no, his energy, his spirit is here. And it was so true from when we were walking around the actual zoo. It's like, no, he's very much.
He's still there for sure. I'm
Still
not a
there.
big fan of the whole like booky, spiritual kind of, this
Humdrum.
person's still alive and ghosts and whatever. But there is something super special about that place. And
Yeah.
if you ever get the chance to go,
Do.
then please do. It's amazing. And if you have been, then you know exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Like,
No
it's
one is going to fight us
unreal.
in this.
It kind of feels like when you go to those crazy memorial sites or something. It's just got like there's something.
But it's not a
in
sad energy.
No, it's not sad, but it's got
like
that like
the energy that
hum.
he had on TV
Yeah,
is
it's
there.
in the zoo. It's
It's
crazy.
so bizarre.
It's unreal.
And someone said a comment on Rob's post, and they said, "Oh, your dad was there, and he had the best seat in the house." And I just was like,
Oh, tears again. It's coming.
the whole day was just like my eyes watering up.
Yeah.
And then we did that, and it was amazing. And then we all got our little shirts, and I was like, "Oh my god, we look like such fangirls." We were watching the show in our zoo shirts.
In the zoo shirts.
And then we come off, and everyone's just chilling backstage. There's sandwiches brought out, and one of the crew who works at the zoo, one of the zookeepers, was like, "Well, you guys, you want to go X amount of time because the koalas can only work for X amount of time." Bear in mind,
They can only
Terry
stay
had
awake for like 2 hours of the day.
Terry was like, "I have somebody here to meet you." She did this whole like bigging it up. She's like, "Jana, I got somebody here to meet you. They're really excited to see you." And I was like, "Don't tell me it's a koala." She's like, "It is." I was like, "No." So we all just abandoned lunch.
Yeah.
We run over to this little beautiful garden in the zoo where no one's around.
Yeah, it's like a little private
place.
sort of not locked off, but like fenced
It was cornered
out
off,
area.
so nobody could come over. And they bring out first they bring out the big boy. Was it
Milo.
No, Milo.
Milo, my boy. He was a don. We love Milo.
He is a thick boy.
Thick
I
ass
held him for a
boy.
couple of minutes, and I was like, "Oh, my arm is going." It's like holding a toddler.
It's heavier than holding a toddler
Heavier than
because
a
they
toddler.
lean. They're like a toddler's at least moving, so you're using different muscles to like try and contain their
He was
vibe.
just a ball of weight.
Koalas just.
Oh, dude, my
For the people just
heart.
listening, I'm just leaning against this microphone. Now. You
Yes.
can probably hear it rubbing against my face.
Oh, I
Unreal.
couldn't believe it. I posted photos that did really well on my gram, mainly because people were like, "Your happiness, I've never seen you this happy." And I'm like, "Yeah, it only took a bloody koala bear."
Yeah.
Because there's a photo of whenever I'm holding it and I'm excited, and then there's a photo of my face after it gives you the wee squeeze.
Yeah. Oh.
My face.
It's all on. I videoed the whole thing, so.
So keep your eyes out on
your
my
eyes
channel
peeled.
for that.
But there's like this moment where Janet's like, "I want to be a mum."
To a koala.
To a koala. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be an actual mother. I just want to be a
it's really
koala
funny.
mum.
Like her whole like, not persona. That's the wrong word, but your whole like
Energy.
just completely changes, and it's just like.
I became 10 years old,
so
dude.
Adorable.
Because as a kid, like, I wanted to be a vet because I was so obsessed with animals. And anytime I told my family that, they were like, "Of course." Like, I was the kind of kid that when, one example, my great aunt had baby kittens that were just born. Now, it was like December. It was freezing in Ireland. I was in a pair of shorts. It was -degrees. And I am in the shed with these baby kittens for a good 2.5 hours in shorts and no shoes. Just vibing with some kittens. Like, I did not care. And my mum, anytime we were going somewhere, I was always like, "Do they have any animals?" Because it's Ireland and most people do. She's like, "Yeah, they've got some sheep." And I'm like,
Sheep will do. Sheep
"Sheep is great." Because in lambing season though,
Oh yeah.
sheep are great because it's like, I gotta go pet some baby lambs. So that was me as a child. So anytime I go on holidays, anytime I go anywhere, you could take me to the fanciest, most luxurious place, or take me to the best thing ever. It will not compare to taking me to a petting zoo, an animal sanctuary, or anything along those lines, because that's when I'm giddy with excitement. And it's burdensome for anyone I date, because they're like, suppose we're going to the zoo, the petting zoo. And I'm like, yeah, we are.
It's going to take a serious petting zoo to top Milo, though.
I know.
He was so adorable.
So I got to give him a cuddle. They smell like eucalyptus and joy. And I just couldn't believe it. And it was so funny, though, because it was like, she was like, does anyone want to hold it? And Angus is like, you gotta give it to her first.
Yeah, I was like, don't offer it to anybody. We're kind of all slowly walking over, and there wasn't that many of us.
No.
Anyway,
We weren't allowed it
but
too many.
Janet was just like, oh my god, I need to hold the koala, man.
Because she
I'm so excited.
whenever she walked over, she's like, this is Milo, and I'm like, shut the front door. He's amazing. Oh, and he's in retirement as well, so he only gets brought out for specials.
He's 13, and koalas generally live to between 10 and 15, I think she said.
Yeah.
But 13's old, and they don't let people really pet them in the zoo anyway.
They don't.
Not because they don't like it. They actually apparently really love being petted because they spend so
long as
much
they're not
time
stressed.
sitting down
Yeah.
that they have like a hard, like, cartilage plate that goes really numb in their bum, and they love it when you just tickle their bum because it brings the blood back into it, and they get really gassed. Apparently, that was the
Well,
that
that's
was the
cute
thing.
because I had some wildlife people commenting on my thing being like, this is so inhumane holding koalas, and I was like, one, the laws here are different. They only can work for a half an hour a day, and two, do you think the Irwins are going to take advantage of an animal like
No,
that?
the koalas love it.
They were
apparently.
strict as
Apparently, in
hell.
lockdown, the zookeepers had to like still take them off the trees and hold them
Yeah.
for a bit because they started getting lonely and like reaching
They were
out to the
seeking out
zookeepers
people.
and stuff
Yeah.
when there was no one around in the zoo.
When there was no
so-
one around and they seen a zookeeper, they were straight over.
Yeah, and also apparently they run really fast. Not that we saw
30
it with Milo. But
30 kilometers per
30
hour
Ks they can clock
for
up.
like 100 meters
Yeah.
is what they can do.
But when you look at a koala and when you feel like hold a koala, there is no way that thing is running at 30 Ks.
No.
But they can.
But they can. It's crazy. So then I got to hold the little girl as well. She was tiny.
Lana,
Yeah.
Lena,
Lana, because I was laughing because it's like Lana Del Rey, you know. And she was a dinky little thing, and she's just new, and she hasn't really been taken out much or anything like that. And she was like, that photo that people really liked where I'm looking in the face of the koala and is looking at my face was actually Lana, and then the big chunky boy, was Milo, and I was in heaven. Like, my heart was so happy, I can't even explain. Like, top 10 life moments at that zoo. Like, because where can you say, like, oh, I played Australia Zoo for the Irwins. They watched my set. Also, was there Russell Crowe, like, and got to hold a koala and pet a kangaroo. It's like all of the bucket list Australia stuff
in one
in one day.
2 hour stretch.
Yeah. It was genuinely
Yeah.
insane.
And then we had like a 7-hour drive afterwards to get
Yes.
back to the farm, and that all like started sinking in for everybody,
Oh.
and we were like, that actually just happened.
every
Whoa.
hour or two, someone else in the van would be like, that was magical.
That was mad. Yeah.
And then we were running on a high, so like I never really eat takeout, like fast food. And I was like, I'm having a KFC and some
Yeah.
donuts.
We had KFC and Krispy Kremes on the way back to keep us all kind of going.
Oh, it's genuinely like an unbelievable thing. That
Yeah. Madness.
I'm collecting.
Madness. That's one of the craziest gigs that I've ever played in my life.
Yeah.
I've played a lot of gigs, but that was one of the just like there were just thing after thing after thing that made that so special,
Magical.
and, like different and cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of those things like, oh, the crowd were really cool, or oh, this song got really well received, or everyone sang along, or everyone had their phone torched out. All of the like classic giggy things. It was like, yeah.
But even the giggy things were great.
Yeah, the giggy things were still cool. It was a good audience. That when we played, there were probably like 2,500 people, 3,000 people in
Yeah.
there maybe. So it was a good sized crowd. So that was cool, and it's a cool stage, and it's in the Crocaseum, which is sick. But then all the peripheral stuff, it was just like, this is such a crazy experience.
Yeah.
And it's on the other side of the
watched,
world.
Yeah, we still watched the actual show itself, not just the crocodiles. There was the exotic birds flying in right in front of your face. What?
They've trained them to go and take people's money
Yeah.
as well.
Oh,
They give
those-
it back as well. But it's
Yeah.
like they need someone with a $10 like note.
No, yeah.
And they hold it out, and then the like, not falcons, what's the word? Cockatoos fly,
Yes.
like they swoop down through the Crocaseum almost
Yes.
to touch the water of where the croc bit is, and then they fly up the other side
Was it
and land on people's
parakeets that were
arms.
literally flying in front of people's face?
Yeah, it was mad.
It
Like
was so
bobbing and
crazy.
ducking and weaving between people, and
It was mad. So we got to
Craziness.
actually watch that. And then what other crazy things have happened? But that is funny because it's like on this tour I've met so many Australian icons
yeah.
that I'm like, I'm just collecting them like Infinity Stones. Because
Yeah.
we got Russell Crowe, we got the Irwins, which individually
The
are
Hemsworths.
cool. The Hemsworths.
Not Chris, but the others.
The other two. And well, Viz is not Australian, but like obviously then Russell and
It's an
all that.
icon, though.
Icon.
What a dude.
Icon. So it's just been bazonkers, really.
It really has.
What's your favourite show been? Minus the zoo, because we can't say the zoo.
I think my favourite was maybe at the Epsy in Melbourne. That was really fun. It was a really, really cool gig. The crowd were really fun. The vibe was good. It was just one of those
They were hard work though
shows.
to start.
They were hard work to start with, but it was a good feeling room and
Yeah.
fun. I think
We won them over though.
Yeah.
We won them
they
over
really got
because
into
it was the day Tina Turner passed away. She literally passed away like
an hour before our set.
And we were like, should we do it? Should we do the best? And we did. We did a piano version of it. I had the lyrics on my iPad on the floor.
Sat listening to it in the dressing room. The piano's all set up downstairs, and I have never played this song. We didn't have a guitar. Everything was already like sound checked and ready to go, and like with all the tech guys. So it was just a case of
he was air pianoing.
Yeah.
And I was like, why don't you
learn
just
your
do
functional harmony, kids?
Yeah, I was
It's
like, why
useful.
don't you just do like guitar? And you're like, no.
No, it's less of a challenge, less fun.
Yeah. So we went on and we just were like, I was like, oh, I don't know if it's gonna work, like, but we'll try it. And I'm glad I didn't cut it because I gave a wee speech that I got emotional with. And then I just was basically like asking the audience, like, I have to get involved in this. There's no better way to commemorate an artist than to get, to
cover them,
to sing their songs at the top of your lungs, like. And everyone in the room got involved, and it was like so. I got goosebumps from the crowd, not from me, from the audience.
Well, it's just like we were saying earlier with Steve being present in the zoo. There was kind of this thing where everyone was just sort of happily remembering how much of a legend Tina Turner was,
and the song's so apt as
and
well.
It was a really cool like tributing moment, and it was one of those things where the crowd up until that point had been a little bit rowdy and like
the front,
just like they were
front
interested.
Half of the venue were totally engrossed.
It's where the bar is.
The bar at the back was like people kind of coming in, and they've only just met their mates, so like it's very hard to win those people over. But that was the moment. That was the moment,
and then you could hear a pin drop in that room. I think what was the SB's cap, like 500 or 600 maybe.
500, yeah, 550. I think.
And yeah, then they were suddenly on our team, and then from that moment on, it was just
was great.
They were super behind us, which was really cool.
Because then after that, it was like, don't worry, be happy, and that song on the set is sick. Everyone gets involved.
Getting everyone to sing it.
Yeah.
It's good.
We did. We get them in. They're all singing. So literally by that last chorus, everyone is going, and it was great. And then I'm playing the new country songs, woo, which are going down a storm.
Yeah, they really are.
Like I don't think I've ever had it with any of my music before, where like the preemptive playing of the songs have gone down this well.
Yeah, you found your niche.
I found my niche.
Found your niche, pal.
Quirky country.
Yeah, it vibes. It's good.
But I always wanted to end up in country anyway. Like that was my goal. But I always seen it as 25 because the joke in the music industry is like once you're past 24 and if you haven't made it as a pop star, you're never gonna. Which is kind of sad, but kind of true. There are some exceptions, obviously.
Yeah.
But I always knew I wanted to end up in country. I just wanted to play the field a little first and then go into it. Then COVID happened and all that stuff. And now
But it's happening.
But it's happening.
And you're out to Nashville to record the record soon, right?
I know, bro. I'm so excited. Basically, I got 2 weeks of prep when I land in the UK. Because I'm producing the album along with someone. I'm not going to say yet. Secret. We're producing it together, and we're going to be basically just making sure that everything sounds like posh demos. Essentially, we're going to do it all in the box and then take it out so the musicians have an idea. So basically, what I want to do is get them to record it the way I've mapped it out, and then give them a free for all.
And then do their own Nashville thing.
Yes, so that I get both vibes.
Those Nashville guys are so good as well.
Bruh.
Nashville as a place for musicians is just one of those things. It breeds. Kind of like Samoans just breed big, strong rugby players. And
yeah.
Like, what other places that are like that do you have? I don't know. That's a good example, though.
Irish people with hardy kids,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. There's just like certain parts of the world where people are just
built different.
And
like
Nashville,
Denmark.
country music. Yeah. Denmark for being stunning and eating pastry.
Yeah, they're definitely built different. And it's like, I always was like, it's not going to be as good as what everyone tells you it is, right? Because there's that big joke where it's like, Nashville. And you're like, oh, Jesus, shut up. It's just a place, man. Like, whatever. And then
Mecca's
you get
just
there.
a place and everyone loves it. Nashville is just country Mecca.
It is.
It is just a place, but it's got so much vibe as a place that it is better than the other places.
And also, it's smart. The airport is like 10 minutes from the town.
That's what you need.
excuse me, that's genius. And everything is like very close together. It's like perfect. You couldn't have made a better city for music. And then because everybody's talented, there's like no ego. Everybody is so humble. You could be having a coffee
because
with
everyone's
someone.
so good, everyone feels so bad.
Yeah, it's
What
the
they
big
do.
fish, small pond. Small fish, big pond. It's
when
that.
literally everybody that you speak to is fire at what they do. Then
And you wouldn't know.
no.
And it's the funny because so many musicians flock there. It like you'll have somebody who's cleaning your table, and they've had like maybe like 4 or 5 big cuts on a record, and you're like,
probably got a Grammy.
Yeah.
Working in a cafe.
honestly, it's so bizarre. So I'm going out there for 2 weeks, and I'm bloody excited. I feel like this year for me, I don't know what's in the water. I'm on my 2nd trip to Australia. I'm going to bloody Nashville for the 2nd time this year, and like everything just seems to be falling into place. And yes, I will say I have been manifesting stuff, and it seems to work.
Cigarette Sweets gets a Grammy.
Can you imagine? Cigarette Sweets gets a Grammy.
We're saying it now.
I love that song. It's so chill.
Hello 2024. We called it.
Yeah, imagine. Just cut that bit. No, it's been sick. What are your plans though after this?
My plans are to check the thing is still recording quickly.
Our little bootleg layout.
It looks good. It looks good. It looks good. Yeah, we're good. 41 minutes so far, just so you know. I'll wait for you to finish your wasser.
1 sec. I just want to double check. This is still going? Yes.
Cool.
What are we on? You'd actually know better anyway from the recording.
I mean, we could pause it and
Nice.
start a second video if you want.
Oh no. These chairs are so uncomfortable though.
They aren't the most comfy. Right, what was the question? What are my plans?
Sorry, we were checking cameras were still rolling because that would be our luck to set everything up.
Yeah.
And then it does not work.
No camera, no audio. Great podcast.
Yeah, literally. So, what are your plans?
My plans are to recover from the jet lag. We're going to have a pretty intense one, I think, on the way back. The last show that we play is on the 10th of June. And it's like a big kind of rowdy student area, just proper like last show of the tour vibes, which I think is probably going to end up with a lot of party vibes afterwards as well. So we're probably going to be up super late. But the plan is to use that staying up super late as the time zone shift. So we're going to wake up the following day super late on UK time, try and live in UK time for that day, get on the plane. It's however many hours. We did it on the way out here, like 30 odd hours of flying.
Well, that's kind of what happened on my last one as well. Like we were in the pub till I left at 6:30.
You know, it's just
Jim, who came out with me last time,
big up Jim.
watched the sunrise at like 7:30 in the morning and was still out and came back I think about like 7:45.
And it's the way to beat the jet lag. So that's the first plan. And then I have a few days off to recover from jet lag and just sort my life out. And then I am off to Brussels for a writing camp for an undisclosed TV show, I think. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it or not, so I won't. But yeah, off to do some writing in Brussels for a week. Nice. And then I am going to get a massage. We've been talking about it a lot.
I told you, because like the last time I did a big tour, I got back to my house, but I lived alone at that time, and I got back to my house, and I was like, I lived near a Thai massage parlor, and I called them. I was like, do you have any free appointments today? They're like, oh, I don't think so, but we'll call you back. And then they call me back, and they're like, yeah, we got one in an hour. What? So like, I literally went and got a Thai massage, and I felt $1 million. Like, when you come back from a tour, you just feel gross, dirty, a little bit sore from sitting in a van in compromised positions.
It's just an intense situation. It's great touring. It's
I
really,
love
really
it.
good fun. And it's one of those things where everything is good vibes, even the trashy stuff, like being in service stations and being out until late and just trying to like scrape by on food rations or whatever when you're in the van and all that kind of thing. Like, it's all part of the vibe and everyone just gets into it. But then when you're finished, it's like your body is dead, man. And also playing shows back to back to back, you know, a lot of
so late nights, they kind of add up, I think.
Yeah, big time. It's like lots of late nights, lots of traveling, lots of shows, lots of adrenaline highs, dumps, and then you get back to normal life and it's like,
that's when you normally get sick as well. You come back and you get ill.
Yeah,
because your body's like, we can relax. Sick.
Well, that's why I got ill in the middle of this run, because it was the first couple of days that we actually had off in a row.
Yeah, I didn't tell my body it was off. I was like, we've got XYZ to do when you get here, blah 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 blah. I was like, I'm not having it because that would be me. Like, I was like, because normally I would then get like something chesty and wouldn't be able to sing. Oh,
can you hear that?
No,
he didn't do it when I pointed the mic at him. There was a cockatoo somewhere.
There's been a lot of nature on this. Woo. Thank you.
I can see him. He's up there. Look.
Oh.
Little black bird. I don't think it is a cockatoo, unless it's a black cockatoo. Anyway, what were we saying?
You've
Being
got...
sick.
Yeah, we're saying about sick, but we're talking about what you're doing after tour. So you're
Yeah.
getting that massage.
Getting that massage in and just healing. And then it's back to writing and production again. I spend like 80-90% of my time in the studio writing for other people, producing for other people. That's like what I spend my time doing, hence why I'm here. I think we said that at the beginning of this podcast. And then I fill in the rest of the time playing live with the people I enjoy playing with. So a lot of that's people I write with and produce
Angus
with.
has a secret love of the last minute panic phone call.
I do. I love the...
Explain that.
Fix everything. That's actually how we met.
It is how we met. So do you want to describe that instance?
So Grace Davies, if you're listening, big up Grace, is also with the same management that Janet is with. And I was supposed to do a show with Grace supporting us. I think anyway, it's a weird kind of setup. It's called Show the Credits. It's run by Jack Valier. He is a very, very good friend of mine. Big up yourself. And he makes great music. He's actually released a song today, maybe this weekend of some kind. It's called Youngblood. Go and stream it. It's great. But yeah, he runs this show which is called Show the Credits, and he invites a bunch of artists that also write for other people to play on the same bill. And so on that particular show, we had Jack, who I was playing with, we had Grace, we had Newton Faulkner, and we had Nick Wilson playing, and it was a great evening.
Of course.
It was dope.
Newton Faulkner, king.
Newton is
King.
so great. I love Newton. He's like, I've been a fan of
He's
his
like the
since I was a
Irwins.
kid.
Whenever someone says they're really, really nice, you're like, oh yeah, of course, yeah, whatever. And then you meet
And
them
then
and
you
you're
meet them,
like,
oh my god, you're actually so nice.
you're the nicest person. What the frick?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Newt is definitely one of those people. He's a hero.
Yeah.
Anyway, Grace was out the evening before and she broke her fingers, which is not
Did she go
ideal.
out?
I don't really know what the story is behind that. We'll have to ask her what the story is. But anyway, she broke... I can't remember if it was one or two of her fingers, which is not ideal when you have to play piano on your own. So I got a call at like 11 p.m. maybe from Jack being like, oh, Grace, who's playing on this show, has broken her fingers and we need someone to play tomorrow. Can you learn the set and give it a go? So we met in sound check. We played most of the songs from the set once.
Wow.
And then we played the show. And I really enjoy gigs like that. That gig went really well. We've since done a couple of other shows with each other, which have had more rehearsal, thankfully.
Yeah, you enjoy the adrenaline.
Yeah, it's good fun. I mean, it's a good test of musicianship. It keeps you on your toes. The adrenaline's there. And it's one of those things, I think, where when you spend a lot of time rehearsing for something and you feel really comfortable with it, it's fun, but you just kind of get in the motions of it and you're not really super present in that moment. You're kind of in your own little music space. Like a lot of people kind of, they'll be playing a show and your mind can wander off to what's for dinner, or
I wish I could do that.
what time the plane is for tomorrow or something like that.
My brain is always, when I'm on stage, I am dying
what's the next
the
word?
whole time. Yeah, I'm nervous from the start of it to the end of it. It doesn't mean I don't enjoy it. I do. It's more that I'm like hyper aware when I'm on stage of like, I'll be performing and I'm looking and I'm like, that person just looked at their phone. Okay. That person just walked over to the bar. Why have I not got their attention? I get so hyper analytical that all the gigs where I'm like, oh, that was awful, I did not enjoy that. That's whenever Rick, my manager, comes over and he's like, that was your best gig, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, because those two people at the very back of the room weren't listening to me. And my inner child was like, look at me, look at me go, please
come back. Buy some merch.
So it's actually, it works well whenever there's like one or two people not listening to me.
Yeah, that's a good thing to note. If you come and watch Janet, can someone just turn their back halfway through? It'll switch
Oh, there's
to, like,
always
engage
someone.
mode
There's
on.
always the pos one.
Yeah, there's always
Who's
someone.
had a few too many pints.
Always one. There's always
Yeah,
one.
which I don't mind. Like, I don't care at all. But yeah. What other gigs have we done? Well, we're doing Sydney Opera House, which is insane. Hopefully we'll be able to record like a little video or something while
Sydney
we're there.
Opera House is like one of the coolest venues ever. We actually were in Sydney earlier on in this tour. We did a couple of shows in
We
Sydney.
got 5 days there.
Yeah, so we did all the like basic sightseeing stuff last time because it was a very quick run around. We're like, oh, we're in Sydney. We've never been to Sydney before.
Dude,
let's
the
go
walk-
see Sydney.
So we just like left our hotel. We didn't even look on the map where we were.
Just picked a
bear in
direction and
mind.
went that way.
Yeah, we didn't even look up the hotel, nothing. So right, we get out and we're like, oh, let's just follow the wharf and then whatever, we'll see where we end up.
See whatever, we
And
got
we're
time to kill.
coming around this corner down this little hill, and Angus turns to me and he goes, I think the Opera House is going to be behind that tree as we come out of the brush.
And I was right.
He was right.
I've never been to Sydney before. We had no idea where we were. And I was like, I'm sure that like in my head, because I
felt
looked
it in your
up where
bones.
loosely we were,
You
where
looked
we
at
were
it,
staying.
I had no idea.
So I knew it's called Woolloomooloo. And so I looked up where that was, and I was like, oh, it's like kind of round that corner. It's actually way further than I thought it was round the corner to get to the Opera House. But it just so happened that the vista as we went around the corner of that like trees cover, and it's in the Botanical Gardens, and this tree was like massive. It wasn't like a small tree.
Wasn't a regular tree.
It was like it was like a wall that we were about to walk past.
Yeah.
And yeah, it literally just came around, and you could see the Opera House and the bridge, and it was a mad.
It was one of those
sight.
things. It was just like holy cow bells. And also, we had the most insane accidental moment ever where we were being tourists, looking at everything, going to see everything that we could.
Yeah.
And we were at dinner in this fancy swanky place, which, by the way, the food over here is so much cheaper than in London.
Yeah,
like,
it's great.
It's like half the price, if not more.
We went out for like a proper posh
dinner.
fine dining dinner because we were like, let's treat ourselves. We're in Sydney. We've got the time to do it. It was one of the few days of the early part of the trip where we were in a city off, but the next day was also like a chill day.
Yeah.
So we did all the traveling and got to Sydney, and then there was a whole day off the following day. We're like, you know what? Let's treat ourselves. Let's have like a nice.
Because we're like
fancy
old
meal.
people
Yeah,
as well. We're like,
yeah.
we're in bed early. We do not stay up that late. Unless there's like, we're like, oh, this is going to be the party night.
Yeah, when it's the vibes. You
Yeah,
know,
when
Riz
it's
is
the
like,
vibe,
come
we
to
go.
the club. It's different. But...
Yeah, exactly. But in a lot of instances, we're like, we're going to go, but like we ended up at that dinner, and then we were talking to the guy, and he was telling us places to go. And I was like, I wasn't fully sold on anywhere he'd said. He'd mentioned a few bars. And then I was like, do you know any good jazz clubs? Don't know why I wanted to go to a jazz club. I mean, why not? Because they're great. And he's like, I actually do. It's this place.
He did not disappoint.
He did not disappoint. It was so hard to find. It was like a bloody speakeasy. It was built into the side, down these stairs.
It looked like a loading door, and it just had no signage or anything, and a security guard outside.
You couldn't find it if you were looking for it, let alone the people that don't know it's there.
Yeah.
So
and it was called what? Rambling Rascal.
Yes.
In Sydney, it's like on the corner of
the Hyde Park.
Which
Lol.
cracked us up.
All the names are just English places.
London places, yeah. It's funny.
So funny. So we go down. Already it's vibey. Like the paintings on the wall. There's that mural of the surfer.
Yeah. The what's his name? Mick Fanning. If you haven't seen this clip, by the way, it's unreal. So Mick Fanning, I think it was like 2016 or something. He was in the semi-finals of the World Championships of the like world surfing thing, and he got attacked by a shark, and he like beat it up and fended it off on like live TV with thousands of people watching in the ocean on his own surfing.
He just disappears for a second.
The clip is terrifying because you see a fin and him like, what's going on? And then the wave that's in front of him like breaks in front of the camera line, so you just have nothing for like 5 seconds, and it's like, is he gonna make it? But anyway, he was fine.
He beat the shark up.
Yeah, I think he said in like an interview or something like he punched it in the nose, which is apparently what you're supposed to do if a shark attacks you. Somehow escaped without getting attacked, and then went on to do quite well in that competition, I think. So
but the
legend.
The mural,
but the mural
was
is
great.
just like him with these boxing gloves
the
on,
1930s,
and
the 1930s tattoo style of like the little muscly men.
Yeah, like proper sailor tat kind of thing. It was good.
And he's in his wee boxing gloves and he's squaring up to the shark. Very cool.
So straight away we were like, this is going to be a sick place. This is going to be huge vibes.
And then we come in and it wasn't a bassoon. What the frick was it? Do you remember?
I can't remember what it's called.
A weird horn.
It's the one up from a tuba. So you've got like all the normal horns, like your trumpets and whatever, and then it goes down to euphonium, I think. It's like trombone, euphonium, and then tuba, which is the big one.
Big boy.
This is the bigger tuba. It had a really long name.
Yes.
And I
so
can't
there was
remember what
that,
it's called.
and then a guy on the clarinet who it was about an older gentleman. And you could tell in the best way possible with his playing, because the sensitivity to the instrument.
Oh man,
you can't have that without years under your belt.
That dude had been playing clarinet for probably 150 years.
Yeah,
he was fire.
He was the Gandalf of the clarinet.
Just this little kind of short, fat Australian bloke called Paul.
A regular Joe.
Yeah,
maybe. Paul. It was Paul.
And a couple of people wanted to take pictures with him.
Of course.
Apparently he's like semi-famous because there aren't that many like good jazz clarinet players in the world.
He's great. And then you had the guy with the banjo playing it the old
like
jazz way, so it's a bit more like a guitar, and he was singing, and then we had a little drummer, and it was just insane. We get in there's like
playing like gypsy jazz, like old French jazz, like all these weird genres that you never hear out of the house.
Yeah.
And they were just
how
crushing.
many people?
They were well
like
good.
about 8 people in the bar max.
Yeah. 8,
and then
10.
like 4 of them left.
It was basically empty, but I mean, it was, to be fair, on like a Wednesday night or something.
Yeah.
But it was, just like our own little private
And
show
the
with
staff
sick band.
were vibey.
Yeah,
like,
they were great.
They were cool people. They had like the coolest hairstyles, the coolest clothes, the coolest way of talking, and they were like taking the mick out of the musos because obviously they play there frequently. And there was just this vibe of
Just
like
the vibe was great.
the vibe was insane. And we texted the band and we're like, "Hey guys, you want to like come down like the group chat?" And they were like, "Oh no, we're here." And we're like, "You are missing out.
You're missing out.
You're in an
dope.
Italian restaurant. We're in a jazz bar having the
Having a great time.
show ever." And it was so vibey. I loved it. And what else did we get up to? There was just loads. I got asked to be someone's sugar baby once, which was pretty interesting, which is hilarious considering I sing a song about sugar babies in the set. This old man outside of like, I can't remember if it was Chanel or Prada.
Some fancy store.
Some fancy store out of my price range, but obviously we were staying in a fancy hotel that was near the fancy shops. And he goes, "Oh, would you like to come in and get something?" or something like that. And I was like, "Oh no, I'm all right. I'm all right." And then he goes something like, "Oh, is your taste even higher than this or something?" And I was like, "Oh, well, you could say that." And then I just kept walking. I was like, but there was a part of me, I won't lie, that was very tempted because I would love a designer bag.
Sometimes you just have to.
I just want to be a
take those
sugar baby
victories.
without giving any sugar.
I mean, it might have been possible, but you don't really want to roll that dice,
I don't.
especially in a very. I was about to say a very
fairness,
foreign
he was
country.
very,
it's not
very,
that foreign. It feels very like similar to how the UK feels, but it's a long way from home.
Yeah, he was a very
high risk.
well-dressed gent. He didn't look like dangerous or anything, but you know,
just a little bit weird and rich.
Bundy was apparently very charismatic, so I did not want to find out the hard way.
Yeah.
Although pretty epic way to die on tour of Russell Crowe,
In the
dying for
Prada
a Chanel
store.
bag or a Prada bag or something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Dying for Prada's a good song title. We should make that a thing.
oh, that'd be
I
fun.
don't want to die for Prada.
I did get a very good price on a bag whilst here. There was a vintage consignment store near our hotel, and
Did you buy that bag?
I did.
Oh, I didn't realize you bought it.
I did. My mummy
I
gave
was
me.
like swag bag, but also like it's a lot of money to spend on a bag. I didn't realize you'd actually done it. That's fucking sick.
I did.
I'm well
I
guessed
didn't get
now.
the one you thought.
Okay,
I
different
didn't get the Dior.
Yeah.
I got the Chanel.
That was the cooler one. That
It was the nice
by
one,
far the cooler one.
and it was. She gave me basically like $100 off.
Legend.
I don't think
So
it's-
basically 2%.
yeah. No, I didn't spend that much. Don't worry, I'm not crazy with my money like that. But my mummy had given me some money to go away, and you know, I don't really. When I'm in the UK, I don't buy anything. Like on this trip, I've been buying quite a few things, but it's because
We also packed really badly for this trip because
Good.
we thought it was going to be warmer than it is. So we
I
brought
packed quite cold. And then I had to buy like these shorts and a few other little bits because I was like, I packed for the freezing.
Yeah, there
and
were
it's
some
actually
hot
warm.
stops. The Miami
Gold
Marquetta gig, which was on
Coast.
Gold Coast, was very warm. And the Brisbane
Woof.
shows were like kind of warm in the
Yeah.
daytime. Like there were warm spots, but there's also been quite a lot of
Gold Coast, we stayed in the Langham.
the Langham's dope.
Bro, we were like, you're in this fancy swanky hotel, right? And then you go out and you're by the pool, which is amazing. And then you walk past the pool and you're on the beach in
It
the
was
Gold Coast.
unreal.
And I was like, what are you talking about? So like me and the girls that morning after breakfast all went, sat on the beach. And I was all
And
good.
the beaches are really nice here as well. Like it's
Stunning.
not like the UK beaches where a lot of it will be pebbly and the sea's cold and it's windy and you get sand in your face. And
No,
all that.
it's
It's
stunning.
like proper perfect.
Yellow sand beaches. And there's barely anybody on them. There was like nobody on our side of the beach, which is insane. And like we just sat and chilled, and then I was like, do you know what, I'm gonna do it, because everyone was like, the water's really cold, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, I'm doing it anyway. And one of the girls was going in, and I was like, let's go together. I get in and I'm like, cold, are you?
The water is not cold.
Taking-
I had a good couple
It
of
was
swims
21
in the sea as
degrees.
well. It was lovely.
That's like peak water temperature in the
Yeah,
UK
it was
in the summer.
perfect.
I was
It was
like,
perfect.
what are you talking about?
I never go in the sea in the UK without a wetsuit on unless I'm trying to get like the cold plunge experience.
Yeah.
And in this place, it was almost too hot without anything on, basically. I had my boxers and
It was
like,
amazing.
a pair of, whatever you
And-
call them, swimming trunks and stuff.
It was so, the weather's so different here. Like I went into the water. Now my hair takes like a good 4 hours to dry.
Mm-hmm.
It just does. It's thick. It's weird. Anyway, it was dry in 10 minutes when I got out of that water. I was like, this is hitting different. And then I made the rookie mistake of not reapplying my sun cream. And I stayed out for like another hour and a half, bro. I'm so stupid. And my face didn't get burnt because I didn't get my face wet. And that's how I realised
Your ear did, though.
My ear did get
Janet's
burnt.
ear was like, but only one ear. It was the ear that was in the sun, went like proper cherry red.
But I was actually really impressed by, I did have to Uber Eats a pharmacy delivery because everything was shut. And I was like, aloe vera, soda cream. And actually, that worked pretty thick and sick because it was red, but like nowhere, like that night I put the soda cream and aloe vera on and I woke up and went, oh, that's not bad. Like it could have been so much worse. And like I don't really burn. I burn in like the weirdest places, my shoulder and my what do they call that? There's a nice name for that and I can't remember. Anyway,
Sternum.
no, there's a pretty name for it, but anyway, my chest here, and that's it. It's really hard for me to burn everywhere else. But yeah, I was actually best pleased with the burn that I got. But I was saying as well to people, it's like I've got a little tan line, but it's hilarious because I'm so pale that it's only like, it's like 50 shades of pale. Like I'm still dead looking color wise.
Yeah, Janet with a tan is like Australian ghost still. Like everyone out here is so tanned all the time.
Do you know I used to be tan as a kid?
Really?
Right. Okay, because I spent my whole childhood outdoors, and then there was one summer where I discovered the internet.
And here she is.
And here I am. And then
left.
yeah, and I dyed my hair ginger for 10 years, so I kept the peel thing up.
The ginger aesthetic going.
So it's one of those things where it's like if I did dedicate like a week to actually just like being in the sun, I would definitely go brown.
Fair.
So
I feel like I've got a little bit of sun this trip.
yeah.
I'm definitely looking more tan than I was before we left.
Yeah.
But the problem is a lot of the time touring is spent in the venue in the afternoon for the sound checks and stuff. And then your time out is in that kind of like 4 till 7 kind of time.
Yeah, so not
or the
everything's
early
open.
mornings where it's like also not the peak of the sun.
Everything opens quite late here.
It does, yeah, it's cool.
Like
it's really
even
cool.
the shops and stuff, it's like if you wanted to go shopping or something, it's like the shops that are like 11:30.
Yeah, it's a good vibe.
Well, it wasn't great for me the other day because I wanted to go get a pair of Uggs. And then
What you're wearing now?
Which I'm wearing. Okay, wait, I need to show these. Here are my Uggs that I'd never seen before.
For the people that are only listening, it's like a cowboy boot thing.
But Uggs.
Brown suede Ugg looking
Which
boot with a
joke,
buckle and fur and stuff.
Which the joke was, I said to Angus, I was like, I'm going to get a pair of cowboy boots or a pair of Uggs.
She's done both
I've
in
done
one.
both in one. I was like,
This is a true
fair.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah,
purchase.
I was like, chill, because I always wanted to get my boots anyway in Nashville. But Jesus Christ, because I've been doing a lot of vintage shops. I keep taking a new member off the tour with me because they're like, where are you going? Like, you're getting...
Janet keeps coming back with these random T-shirts from the 80s and 90s. And people are like, where have you bought this from? And then she goes back with the next person and buys another T-shirt.
Or actually, I might have bought one thing and I had my eye on something. We're the same. I like to sleep on it. And I will not buy it if I haven't slept on it. But there's been a few pieces that I've picked up. The jacket, I was waiting 2 years to find it.
Yeah.
My best friend was like, one of my best friends was like, when I showed them a photo, I had to send them a photo that I got it. They're like, oh my God, you've been looking for that for 2 years. And I was like, that's all the confirmation I needed. And it was not as expensive. The only other one I seen that I wanted that ticked all my boxes, because I'm really particular about the suede fringe jacket.
Jimi Hendrix vibes.
Yeah, I've been looking for 2 years, and the only one I found was in London, and it was £650.
It's pretty penny.
And I couldn't do it.
Penny.
And I was like, I know I'll wear it for £650 worth, but I can't. So I found it, and in UK pounds, it was £130. It's like, okay,
You can't get a leather jacket for less than that anywhere.
a decent one.
So,
And this one has already survived 70 years, so it's going to keep going.
yeah, it's vibes. It's a cool
I
jacket.
love it, yeah. I got loads of compliments from locals, which feels nice when they're like, ooh, nice jacket.
The Aussie people, by the way, just as a general, are so nice.
Dude.
In London, the vibe is generally... I am often looked at as the weird one in London because I'll say hello to people on the train, on the tube, in a coffee shop or whatever. I'm quite
You're
an
a nice guy.
outgoing person. In Australia, I'm like...
You're
not
timid
shy.
in
Shy is
comparison.
not the right word, but yeah, timid is... Yeah, it's like they would just say hello to everybody. They're just like,
Yeah.
oh, you're right, mate. Oh, right, oh, yeah, you doing? What's
They
the great?
do dress very chill, though.
Yeah, they're just... The whole vibe is like Shoreditch and Brighton combined.
Yeah.
If that means anything to anyone.
And a lot of the girls I've been chatting to, they're like, I like Irish ones out here. They're like, I love it because every single day they're like, I just gotta wear yoga pants and a t-shirt, and I'm like, vibes, but I'm way too overdressed
Yeah.
for everything. I don't know why that's a thing. In the past like 3 years, I've kind of come into myself with like being braver with my clothing choices. And like a pendulum, I had to go all the way to bubblegum chic pop thing to like come back to actually my own style. And yeah, I'm overdressed for absolutely everything, but it makes the joke on stage land
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
well.
It's pretty good.
For like my first song is about being a catfish, and I tell the audience, that my girls aren't real, and my hair at the time, because I'm either wearing a wig or a fake ponytail, or I've only had my real hair out like twice because it's too much maintenance to do on the road. So I'm overdressed to the nines, and the audience can tell, and they know that I'm a catfish. And then I say, before I do Jolene, I'm like, this didn't start off as a joke. I just was like, as you might be able to see, or no, as you might gather, I'm a massive fan of Dolly Parton.
Crowd roll every time.
Crowd died. I was like,
it's so funny.
What? I just rolled with it. Obviously, I didn't let them know that I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, they think that's really funny. So I'm very overdressed for the whole tour, and I think it's vibes. I don't care.
It is vibes.
But yeah, Australia, cowboy boots, killers. Every bloody vintage shop I've gone into, I could spend my yearly wages in.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff here. It's cool.
Vintage shops are apart from that one I found, every other one is very expensive. Like, but they have the right to be, because they're sourcing these things. Stuff. Like one place I went to had like original tour t-shirts from like the 70s and 80s, and I was like, yeah, it is 100.
You can't get that stuff. It's like, it makes sense. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm like, fair enough. But yeah, I found one that was actually affordable, and I got the jacket. I copped that. Yeah. Anything else that you've thought is just insane? Because the whole trip, we've stayed in the nicest hotels, which I wasn't expecting, by the way.
I've got one about the nicest hotels thing.
Okay.
We've got one. We stayed in the Park Hyatt in Melbourne, which is a dope hotel anyway. But they have a hotel dog called Mr. Walker. He's a Labrador. He's like 8 or something, but he's proper like old, slightly saggy looking, a little bit chunky Labrador, and he is so well trained, and he sits in his little throny bed as you walk into the hotel.
He's a proper employee.
And he sits there and kind of waits for you to give him a little scratch on his chin, and he's super nice. And anyway, you can book in to take him for walks around Melbourne, and that's just like a part of the hotel experience. You don't pay for it or anything like that. He's just there, and it's like an emotional support dog for the whole of the hotel. But he is such a vibe. He has his own Instagram and stuff as well. It's pretty hilarious.
Honestly, though, every hotel
so vibes
needs to get a hotel dog.
The hotel joy dog made so much difference. It was so good.
Joy it brings whenever you're there, because he only works certain hours. Obviously, he's not. We're not taking advantage.
He's not immortal and or working 20 hours a day.
But he's like, you come in and you're just instantly like,
it's so vibes. It's so good.
Great.
It's great. Yeah, I can understand it with people being like, dog allergies. Yeah, but you can be allergic to anything. You can be allergic to peanuts. But if there's complimentary peanuts, I'm a happier person than I am without complimentary peanuts. And if you've got an allergy, steer clear. And Mr. Walker is 100% one of those things.
If you've got an allergy, though, you should be carrying an EpiPen and some Pirates or whatever.
Allergic to dogs, I mean, it's sad, but
I'm sorry. No, genuinely, I'm sorry if you're allergic to dogs.
The dog vibe is very strong in the hotel, so that was sick.
Yeah.
That was a cool spot.
The hotel's fantastic. The food, fandabidozy. Like, haven't eaten so well in my whole entire life. I had a steak the size of my head the other day, and it was Wagyu. Wagyu beef, bro. I couldn't believe it. I just was dying. I got it cooked rare and just was in heaven.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
The food's been stellar.
Out of this world.
And it's also been stellar while we've been on the farm as well.
Yes.
Jodie and Owen, who are the catering team here, big up Jodie and Owen.
Love them.
They're absolute heroes, but they cook the best stuff, man.
And make great coffee.
Good. And make amazing coffee.
Australia, your coffee kills.
Australian coffee is so much better than a lot of places.
I don't drink coffee in the UK apart from maybe once a month as a treat. I get a mocha, an iced mocha. And like it breaks my heart because sometimes I go somewhere and they're like known for a good coffee and they make a crap mocha, because mocha is supposed to be like 3/4 hot chocolate and 1/4 coffee. So it always happens, and then you end up with this bitter, like not nice tasting mocha. Literally the first coffee I had here in January, I was blown away. And then I only found out that everywhere has banging coffee. It's not just like a one-off.
Yeah, all those coffee shops that we've been into have been great. And like, don't get me wrong, there's some good coffee in a lot of places in the world if you know where to look.
Yeah,
but
you don't have to look.
Everywhere in Australia they have good coffee. They're proper serious about it. And some of the art on these coffees as well that we've had. Oh my god,
it's been sick.
There's like the latte art has been 10 out of 10. All the coffee we've drunk's been 10 out of 10. It's been real nice. It's going to be a shame going back to the UK. Although if you do want coffee beans in the UK, Workhouse coffee. Oh my God, that stuff's great.
I'm the worst. Yeah, I don't take it seriously
it's
anymore. I used to love it. And then people always say to me like, oh, you drink Monster, that's so bad for you. I drink 1 Monster a day, like max, right? And sometimes I don't even have it, right? But the reason why I have Monster is because my brain associates it with being bad, okay? So I only allow myself to have one. Whereas with coffee, I will drink 8, 9, 10 a day.
It's good for you, man. Not
So,
that much.
Not
of it,
that
but
much.
It's
So
good.
I have the too much gene, and coffee is my victim. Whereas because Monster's like, ooh, I have one.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I've
makes
spoken
sense.
to doctors and nutritionists and all this kind of stuff about it. Anyone I know that works in that field, and they're like, yeah, one is
Also,
is
you
fine.
don't drink.
I don't drink alcohol. I
Like,
don't take drugs.
1 Monster and no alcohol is probably better than no Monster and a couple of glasses of wine every now and again.
Considering
You
a
know?
lot of people still do energy drink and shot thing.
You know, like Jaeger bombs. Oh man,
Dude.
that's gonna kill you.
Don't
So
miss that.
the occasional Monster and sparkling water, boohoo,
Gra-
and sweets. You do eat a lot of sweets as well, but
I do eat a lot of sweets.
sometimes you just gotta eat sweets.
I have eaten a lot more sweets here than when I do at home. But it's because I'm trying out all the different sweets.
They've got some great stuff.
Because
here
I'm
as well.
testing them out, right? Because I'm going to bring a bunch back for friends in the UK. And, you know, I have to live up to my sweet connoisseur name and bring home the best stuff. So also, there's a sweet over here that's like a chewy toffee chocolate. Banging. But also, my first night on the actual tour, I go to eat one in bed and I'm looking at the wrapper and it's like the clue. The answer to the question is Russell Crowe.
Yeah, he collects them. We had one of them when we were on the plane with him as well.
Yes, yeah.
And he opened it and he was like,
yeah.
He's like, it's a good day when it's me.
Oh, that's another
good.
thing to mention briefly.
The plane. I said the plane very casually then.
You
'cause I
did.
didn't want to flex, but
You can flex.
the plane.
It's not ours.
We have been flying around with Russell and his partner Britt on the private jet when we've had to fly on this tour, which has been unreal. I've never flown on a private jet before.
Either way.
It's the way to fly. It's so good.
So bad for the environment, but for them, they even say, they're like, we wouldn't fly private if we didn't have the dog.
Yeah, the dog has to go on the plane because he's coming with us. Obviously, everyone's kind of on the road at the same time, so they don't want to leave the dog.
They
He's
don't
only
wanna
like
leave
4
him.
months old, 3.5 months, 4 months old. He's
Yeah.
a little...
He's a baby.
Little baby.
So
they
they didn't wanna
don't
leave
want to
him.
fly him in like a kennel cage thing in the hold of a commercial flight.
Dude,
That's
he's
not
a
fair.
tiny dog, so his heart's like this big. Those dogs,
No,
like,
it's
yeah,
just not going to
don't
happen.
scare them.
So he comes in the private jet with us, but it's been great flying
It's
on
been
the jet.
unbelievable.
It's so swag. The airport is just so low hassle. You just walk in and they already know who you are. You don't even get through the door and they've taken all your bags. It goes on the plane. They offer you a cup of coffee, which you don't pay for. You have your cup of coffee, you walk onto the tarmac, onto the plane, and it takes off straight away.
I was so sad,
What?
right? I didn't get a photo of the first time I got on the plane because I was walking on with the biggest bag of McDonald's.
Oh,
because
we did. Yeah.
everyone was running late. We were there on time, but a few things had happened. I'm not gonna go into details.
It's a whole long story, but anyway.
But it's no one's fault really. And they were running behind. And Russell texted me and he was like, "Oh, you know, there's a KFC, there's a McDonald's, there's a Krispy Kreme. Like, not the best food, but like, you know,
Yeah,
if
you've got time. If you're hungry, we're not going to be there for another 20 or 30 minutes or so.
Yeah.
The flight was like an hour and a half maybe to
Yeah.
the place that we were going to.
So I texted
so
him
it
and was like,
well,
"Do
if
you want
to eat
anything?"
lunch, eat before instead of afterwards.
Yeah, and I was like, "Do you want anything?" And he's like, "Only if you're sure." So I was like, "No, hit me with your order." And he says the big order because like I think it's like one of those things where you don't know what you want really. So he ordered a bunch of they ordered a bunch of stuff and there was more people. So got this big massive bag of Macca's and I'm getting on the plane in a Shein jumpsuit, my Crocs and a bag of Macca's.
With a bag of Macca's that's got like, it's got my order, which as you already have probably gathered by our conversation about food, was a big order. Janet's order, Russell's order, which is not a small order either. His
And
partner's-
Britt's order.
Yeah, Britt's order.
Britain, his order was big.
That was a hefty order. It just, there was so much McDonald's
Andy.
going on. And Andy the security guard.
Yeah.
He's an absolute hero.
What
I
a
love
G.
Andy.
So I was carrying that on the plane and I was like, oh my God, I'm not belonging off this class. But yeah, I get that jets are not good for the environment. Is this something we're going to do frequently? Absolutely no.
I mean, I would
Hopefully, but
try
at some
to
point.
get into that situation where
Well,
I could.
I don't think I would ever really fly private even if I had the money, unless I had to like make an event at a certain time.
Yeah, I think the thing is, it's the timing of it.
Like if you're busy, like as someone like, you know,
Yeah.
him and his caliber is,
Yeah.
to be able to just get in, fly, land, go
straight away.
it's
Just
kind
no
of
hassle,
for
especially
those,
on internal flights where there's none of the passport and border
no
control
passport,
rubbish.
no
It's just
liquid,
in off.
no liquid management, none of that.
Super easy.
Bro.
They're not worried about bombs when it's just you and it's your plane.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, they're gonna do something bad. It's like, nah, just take whatever you want. There's no checks, no nothing.
No.
So
And like it's like an 8-seater plane, so it is like
I think it might even be less. I think it's a 7.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 7, including Andy's seat.
It's so fast.
Yeah,
Like
it's great.
what takes a commercial vehicle like an hour and a half takes like 55.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So obviously we've been making the most of it and play. And as a group, everyone is doing a crossword.
Yeah, we've got team a
Apart from
crossword
Russell,
team.
he's doing something else. But like Brett
He still
and
butts in
us,
on the hard clues. We'll ask him, and then
Yes.
he'll be in. on
We're
the
like
thing.
Russell, like what's 7 across, and the clue is this, and he'll just kind of
He'll
ponder.
sit there for like 5 minutes, and
He
then
won't
he'll just
even.
like turn
There's
around
been
and
one
have
or
the
two,
answer.
and he's like,
He's good, man.
we're like,
He's good at crosswords.
bro. So yeah, fair play.
Not just a good actor.
Not just a good actor
He's a sick crossword guy as well.
and a good guy.
He is.
It did.
He
He's
is.
been so nice to us. Like whenever I was told that, because he covered my accommodation and Angus's accommodation for this tour, I thought like we'd be
Thanks,
staying.
Russell.
Thank you, Russell. I thought it was going to be like travel lodges, like just dinky like motels, and like I would have been fine.
Coming from the musician side of this, like session musicians generally get looked after by its absolute,
The
the
bare
skin of the
bones.
teeth, the bare bones definition. Like you're looked after as in a sense you have a place to rest your head and
There's a
somewhere to
bed and a
stay.
shower.
But
Good night.
like other than that, you're on your own, and it's never fancy, and that's completely fine. And then we get here,
We're
and it's
used to
all
it.
these like 5-star places and all these just super swag. Everything has just been so
Dude.
crazy, and he's been super generous and really friendly and really kind and just a really lovely person to spend the last month and a bit with or whatever. And living with him has been a dream. He's been great. So
He's so funny.
big up yourself, Russell. You're a star.
He's so funny, bro.
Literally, you're a star.
Yeah, you are a star. You know this. But no, it's been the most surreal experience. So I'm gonna just finish on the thanks.
Yeah.
Like, thank you to you watching the YouTube channel, because you guys got me enough views to get Ed Sheeran to see my video that led to him seeing it.
Madness. Also on that note, by the way, I've been vlogging this whole trip. I've only just started the YouTube
I'll be linking
grind.
your YouTube in the
So
description.
hit that YouTube as well. If you can get Janet to Australia, then maybe you can get me to have less than 0 views on these vlogs.
Yeah, but like your vlogs are great, and you're dedicated to the grind, and I'll be in his vlogs.
Some
He'll be
swag
in my
behind the
vlogs.
scenes Janet Devlin content is happening.
Oh, what was the moment that was
Devo.
backstage
Devo
the other
content.
day? Oh, the guy was going on stage to interview me, and he was like, I'm about to go on stage.
It's like, I'm about to go on stage and I got to introduce Janet Devlin. And then he like runs off and he slams the door, and I just pan the camera slowly round to Janet. I'm not going to spoil her response, but it was a moment. It had us in like
It was
proper
very
giggles
me.
for a little while. It was very funny.
So if you want to see it, it's going to be on Angus's YouTube channel, which will be linked. But from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for making all of this happen. And let's just keep on the positive wagon and just keep thinking these things into creation. And if more weird, wacky, wonderful things like this happen, I can call Goose, because he'll be like, yeah, I'll do another weird, wacky tour.
Hook me up. Let's do it. Make it happen.
It's been
You
nice.
guys can make it happen.
It's been
You're at
nice to
home.
tour with someone though as well. It's like not like you've done a lot of touring, but you're not jaded because you only pick the things you're excited about.
Yeah, I'm
So-
not the classic, like I have to say yes to every gig, because I'm not trying to just do the live thing. So I'm quite lucky in that respect.
So it feels it's so nice touring with someone that's excited to be there and is excited to go see and do and be a part of where we are and things. And also everyone on the crew loves them, which is also great, because it's like when I hire someone, it's like an extension of my brand.
I'm repping you. If I was a dick, then it's a problem for both of us.
Yeah, but no, it's been sick because he's so lovely. He gets on with everybody, and it's just been absolutely phenomenal. And also, obviously, massive thanks to Russell
Yeah, thanks,
for
Russell.
not only just getting us on this tour, but for looking after us as if we were the important people on the tour,
Yeah,
which
it's been
we're not.
So mad.
We're like, why are you letting us on the jet? Why are you letting us in these nice
you
hotels?
guys have got to be looked after. It's like we would have been looked after with a 20-hour bus drive to a travel lodge, bro. But
Honest to God.
it has been amazing, though. And it hasn't gone like there's an element of thanks that's like, oh, thanks for looking after us, but there's an extra thanks to like looking after us to that level. It's been great. So
yeah, like,
cheers, man.
you don't have to do that, and to be so blessed. Like blessed is always that cheesy word, but genuinely, it's the only word that describes how I felt
it really
this whole
is.
experience.
It really is.
It's been insane. It's been something that I'll remember forever. I'm gonna get a tattoo to commemorate it. and I will show you guys that at some point when I know what I'm actually going to get. Going to fill the gap because manager Rick was like, that gap's annoying me. And I was like, oh, don't have to tell me twice.
For Rick.
Dick Chambers, rock and roll. Guys, thank you so much. Russell, thank you so much. And thank you to all the crew and everybody involved in this tour for making it happen. You guys were also amazing. You've been the nicest people. Shout out to Simon as well, in particular, for sorting out Goose.
Simon. 80s guitars, 8Ts. It's like the pun on the 80s thing.
80s.
He's the guitar tech on this run. Man, he has looked after me so well. He has made my guitar play better than it's played in a very long time, and he is a don. He's
Big shout
a legend.
out.
And he's so funny as well.
He's great because he's the person we see before we go on stage.
Yeah, he's like looking after all of the guitars and the tech side stage, and like if you've got a problem with anything, he's there. Like when I break a string, I just look at Simon, he's there with a new guitar, that kind of thing. Like he's just been an angel.
He's a god.
He's made everything run smooth, which has been fantastic. Yeah, team have
Can't
been
sing his
great.
praise.
Thanks to the team.
The whole team, every single member of it, all the lads who were traveling hours and hours in the van because you can't fly that kind of equipment. Shout out to you guys. And
Thanks, Manager
always
Rick.
having
Manager
a
Kat.
smile on your face. Yeah, Kat and Rick.
You guys have been
Again,
great as well.
They organised my side of it. There's so much logistics that go into getting us here. So you guys are awesome, and I'm sorry you couldn't be here because it would have been sick.
It would have been great.
But but thank you guys so much. I can't say thank you enough. And I'll see you for the next one. This has been What's the Crack Down Under? Or What's Down Under the Crack? Bye.
Bye. Hello, editor. Thanks for doing this. You're a star.
That's funny because it'll probably be me.
Hello, Janet.
If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. If you have any guest suggestions, topic requests, or feedback, then hit me up in the YouTube comments. Don't forget to follow the podcast so you never miss an episode, or sign up to the Patreon for even more content. Have a happy day.